Hi, this is Jeremy for 10xyourgigs.com, and in this video podcast, I am going to tell you how road gigs can make you broke, dumb, and fat. Since 2003, when I started doing stand-up comedy on the road full-time, I've probably averaged about 150 to 200 bookings per year. I have logged over 50,000 miles each year on the road traveling to gigs, most of it behind the steering wheel of a minivan because I hate flying and because most of my gigs are actually within about 6 hours or less from my home. I've stayed in luxury hotels, I've stayed in dumpy-ass motels, pretty much everything in between, not to mention comedy condos, homes of club owners and managers, hunting lodges, campers, RVs. The long drives and unpredictable nature of traveling from gig to gig can be exhausting. It's pretty much what I consider to be the real work of a life in show business. And, I love everything about my gigs after I arrive, but I detest everything about actually getting there. And this annoyance of traveling to gigs grows week after week. Each time I reluctantly pack my suitcase, set my GPS, and jump in the driver's seat, I want that trip to be as productive and valuable as possible. Each year is a chance to review your results and renew your goals. So, continuing with the theme of focus, productivity, and time management, that's what this post is about. How to make the most of your road gigs and avoid going broke, getting dumb, gaining weight. And I'm amazed at how many road comics I know that will jump in the car, drive 12 to 20 hours across the country, and then straight back home for just a one-night gig. They're constantly jumping from one gig to the next on poorly organized trips, draining their energy and profits. Then they complain about their low pay, crappy accommodations, and gas prices, although right now, as I'm recording this, gas is actually under $2 a gallon for the first time in years. Pretty cool. I've observed that many performers think it's more important to tour nationally, winding up with venues and fans here and there and everywhere. Instead, I feel like if they concentrated on dominating a few strategically selected tight geographic areas, they would likely have lots of fans and venues in one place, resulting in maximum efficiency and growing their careers. So planning is everything. As soon as I book a gig, I immediately start planning other productive things I can do on that trip. I look for cities and venues along the way and back where I can book more gigs. So, for example, last summer I was booked to perform for 17 days at the Indiana State Fair. The shows were during the day, leaving my nights free. And what I did was I sent out over 500 postcards to nightclubs, taverns, and neighborhood bars within a 1-hour radius of Indianapolis where the fair gig was. And the postcard was basically offering the bars that I sent it to, offering them that I would present a special event, one night only, comedy night, for a discounted performance fee since I was going to be in the area anyway. And I got about a half a dozen responses. I booked 4 shows and brought in almost $3,000 in extra income during that trip. So it worked out pretty good. That's just one example. Anybody could do something like that. And I find it helpful actually to have a checklist to work from to create as much value for each trip after a booked date is locked in. So the first thing I do is I ask what can I try to plug in during the trip, either on the way there, the way back, or during any downtime that will put extra cash in my pocket immediately. I also ask, can I plug in any media appearances, meetings with other comics or venue owners I know, or any showcase sets at venues that I would like to establish a relationship with? If I anticipate downtime, I ask how can I take advantage of that time? What can I get accomplished instead of just watching TV or movies in a hotel room? And finally, should I schedule any sightseeing or tourist activities and make the trip a sort of working vacation? I like to do that a lot of times when I bring my family on the road. I use this checklist a lot. For example, I recently had a 2-night gig, Friday and Saturday night engagement in Janesville, Wisconsin, and I called up a nearby bar owner that I have a good relationship with and scheduled an afternoon show on the Saturday. I also used my time in the hotel room to write some new material, work on another project that I've got going, and I went to lunch with the venue owner. And then at the show Saturday night, I met with a local radio DJ and tentatively scheduled an appearance on a future broadcast. So these are things anybody can do. Whenever you hit the road for gigs, you ought to work at making the entire trip as valuable as possible. You also want to make your driving time more productive. I remember when loading up the car to hit the road was exciting and fun. Now it's a dreadful experience for me. Sitting in your car for hours on end, getting to and from gigs can be an enormous time-sucking energy drain. It can also be harmful to your health. Fast food and convenience store snacks combined with sitting on your ass for several hours is pretty much a sure way to pack on the pounds. Just look around at any truck stop and you'll see plenty of road warriors emerging from the cabs of 18-wheelers that could be potential contestants on The Biggest Loser. Without proper rest and enough breaks, you may even get into an accident because you fell asleep behind the wheel. Other things like listening to news radio, talk radio, or even just too much music the entire trip can put you in a bad mood or dull your mind. Traffic jams, you got bad weather, you got construction, you got car accidents on the highway. All that stuff will delay your trip, wasting even more of your precious time. So here's 3 things you can do right away to start making your driving time more productive. Number 1, turn your car into a traveling classroom. You got CDs, MP3 downloads, like this podcast you're listening to right now. You can download the MP3. Audio books, YouTube videos that you can download to your iPad or your Kindle or your tablet. And these are some of arguably the greatest educational inventions since the Gutenberg press. They let you easily and cheaply expand your knowledge base with America's best experts, speakers, and authors. Number 2, if you regularly record your sets like I do, plug those into your car stereo system. Listening to your past performances can be motivating and inspirational. It also allows you the chance to listen for areas of improvement in your performance. And then number 3, you also want to keep handy a digital recorder or use your smartphone to record material, song lyrics, or brainstorm ideas to implement in your set. Creative strategies to get gigs, shit to get done, or anything that hits you that you don't want to forget. So those are just 3 things that you can do when you're driving to make the drive time more productive. And it may not seem like much at first, but a little bit here, a little bit there, it all adds up. You also want to stay healthy. Nothing's worse or more damaging to productivity than getting sick while traveling or coming down with something as soon as you get back home. I am firmly convinced that the risk of catching colds and getting sick is much greater for frequent travelers. And I think I do a pretty good job of keeping my incidents down to 2 or 3 a year, tops. I can remember back in the day when zipping around the country from gig to gig, late nights, heavy drinking, fast food, it didn't really have much effect on me. Not anymore. As you put on some years, travel takes a greater toll and you need to schedule some time for rest. As I write this, I'm 39 years old, but in travel years, I'm probably closer to 60 or 70. Ignoring the damage done to your body and the mentality by frequent travel is just stupid. You need to develop strategies for eating right, exercising, rest, and work that reduce the damage as much as possible. Drink lots of water. It's energizing, it's cleansing, it cuts down on your appetite, which reduces the temptation to pull over to a McDonald's drive-thru, for example. You want to avoid sugar and complex carbs. They just lead to energy crashes. Instead, eat lots of protein and vegetables. Sometimes it can be a real challenge to avoid fast food joints, especially when you're hungry after a late night gig and all that's available are drive-thrus or delivery pizza or the fried food that you might get at the bar. And if you're like me and you tend to get really hungry after shows, you just want to plan ahead and make sure you have healthy meals available at the end of the night. I also keep a supply of vitamins and supplements in my car and try to begin every morning on the road with a mega dose of vitamin C. And what you can do is you can get a box of emergency, they call it. Each packet contains about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and when it's dissolved in water, it makes kind of a fizzy citrus drink. Down one of these each morning before hitting the road, and it'll boost your energy. It reduces your chances of getting sick and catching infections. It's also great for recovering from hangovers if you did drink too much, like I've been known to do. At the end of the day, you just want to create your own strategy for a productive road trip. Whatever you do, you have to ask yourself if you have a real strategy for maximum effectiveness and productivity with minimum stress and agony. There's nothing that can ruin a schedule, suck up more time, sap your energy, and otherwise cause more chaos and problems than travel. So you must take as many proactive steps as possible to protect yourself and your time as best as you can. Whether you use my suggestions or not, you must plan to be as productive as possible on road gigs. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear from you. What are some things you can do to make the most of your road trips to gigs? And just enter those comments. Please share that stuff in the comments section below, or if you have any questions for me, put those in the comments. If you're listening to this on iTunes, leave it as a review, or on YouTube, leave it in the comment below the video. In any case, thanks for listening. This is Jeremy for 10xyourgigs.com, and we'll talk soon.